Hi everybody, welcome along to this week's episode of the Boots to Million podcast. You'll see we're in the golf bar as usual. It would be my days not to just Dan sitting behind the camera, but he literally just won an award that Big Chris will present for you. Best day out in Glasgow. Is it Glasgow, Scotland? Scotland. Best day out in Scotland. And by the way, we can definitely vouch for that. Me and Chris have been in here now doing our business lunches, doing our days out and stuff. So well done, Dan, behind the camera.
Decent night out as well. No,
Decent night, that's the thing. But all seriousness, thanks to Dan for his support. As always, if you're watching us online, you'll see that we're sitting with Joe Savage today. So Joe, thanks for giving us time, mate.
No, I'm happy to be here, guys.
I said, but I think we've took a chat about this offline. To me, your career's quite unusual compared to a lot of the guests I've had because of what you've done after the game, and your transition is a journey we've never spoke about on here. So I'm looking forward to find out how it went. But as we do with all our guests, and I've heard some stories because Chris has played with you, but we'll jump back to the beginning. Who was the first club you went to? How did you break into the kind of senior game?
I played for Hamilton Accies as a youth, and then I was at Motherwell as well. I'd been at Aberdeen, I'd been at Hearts, I'd been everywhere, as you can imagine. And then I went to Hamilton Accies, and Hamilton kind of like folded or went bust, whatever you want to call it. So again, you're scrambling around, you're wondering where you're going to end up. And John McVeigh was at Stenhousemuir at the time,
right?
And Stenny had a full-time programme going, like a scholarship type thing.
Yeah.
And John brought me in there, and I signed a 2-year deal with Stenny to play for their youth team, like their under-18s, when I was 16, 17. And again, this is a regret of mine as well, is I was at school and I remember just always thinking, stupidly now, I'm just going to be a footballer. I'm just going to be a footballer. I'm just going to be, that's it. I'm good. I'm good. Everybody tells me I'm good. Everybody tells I'm brilliant.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to leave school, and I just left school in 5th year.
Seriously?
With absolutely nothing.
No.
And I just was like, and then it was only then when you leave, you go, oh, I've not got all these offers that I thought I was going to have. Nobody's knocking the door down here desperate to sign Joe Savage. So I ended up signing for Stenhousemuir, and we were full time. But it was against part of the scholarship programme. I think, what was I earning at the time? Was it £70 a week?
Aye.
By the way, what about John McVeigh?
But brilliant. I absolutely loved him. I loved him. Yeah, Chris, I absolutely loved him. Yeah, like he's the one that has been my best coach as a player. Like,
I loved him or hated him.
He was my best coach. He really. And it's still grates in my dad to this day that I became a centre forward, because my dad wanted me to be a central midfielder or a left winger type thing. But John, when I went into Stenny, John was like, no, you're big, you're aggressive, you're physical. And at the time I could actually run a wee bit. Like towards the end of my career, I couldn't run. And like if you didn't give me the ball within a yard of me, that was like game on, we're chasing that. But John kind of taught me how to take your ball in, how to link the game, win headers, flick-ons, stay goal side of things, my movement. Like he was brilliant for me, John McVeigh. I've got honestly not a bad word to say about him, but his stories and that. Like he used to pick us up, to take us up to training and that, and like
funny guy.
What a man! What a man!
Do you know? But when you talk about coaches, and I sound like I think we sound old when we say this, but you always remember the ones that taught you the most. I think, because for me, I was at Cole Fish when I was young, and Eddie Cunnington just mind dead. Eddie had a brilliant career, right? I still see him around in the gym, but he used to stay by. He gave me a hard time in the park, but see, after it, he would stay by me and go, here's how you hold the ball up, here's how you go time. And he was the first person that ever coached me. Before I was just raw. I think you always remember or respect people like that.
John took my game. I would credit him with me staying professional, because I would have probably just dropped down, lost a wee bit of love for the game, and just kind of fell out of it if it wasn't for him. I mean, John hammered me, like what you're saying, he'd hammer me, he'd pick up every wee mistake I made. If I was loose with any balls into my feet, he would absolutely cane me in front of everyone. And you know that way you're absolutely shitting yourself thinking,
young guy,
I don't want to make one mistake. And we had some good players at Sten at the time. John Paul McBride, Colin McGrillen, Colin Cram, Greg Den. We had some top players that had been up at the levels and things like that. And Chris Fahey, what a player, honestly.
But no, I believe different up until now.
but you know what it's like when you're playing with the boys, you don't really. John Paul McBride's another one. What a player he was, by the way. Honestly,
I've had loads of people talk about him.
John Paul McBride's the same age as me, and we on the same Manchester select team. And Barry Ferguson was in that team.
Yeah,
Barry Ferguson, one of the best players. Strong. juice. But
Mhm.
John Paul McBride was
It's good,
twice
isn't
the
it?
player.
Oh,
At
twice,
least
wasn't it?
twice the
Oh,
player he is,
see,
honestly. Unbelievable.
do you know the phrase or the saying that keep the ball off you in a phone box?
Aye.
That was invented for him.
Was it?
See in training, see if he didn't want to give the ball away, he was not giving the ball away. Like, it would just pop city, just pass move, he'd just make wee angles and that. Like, it's like a snooker player, and snooker players they just know that he was just so clever with how he just found areas. And he would say to me, he'd be like, look, big man, I'll just drop it in there. You just stay there. And I'm like, but no, he's like, fucking tell him, just stay there, I'll find you. And he would just drop balls into me, and I'd be like, how the fuck should you do that? Because I thought I was good. I thought I had good ability in that. And then you see him and you go, wow, the level he could have played at, and
Scary.
for whatever reason, it never obviously worked out for him.
How many boys do we know that?
Aye,
Every year's for it.
scary. He was brilliant. And Mowgli, Paul McGrillen, was brilliant for me as well. God bless him. But he was great for me as well, because he used to hammer me. I see, at one stage I thought he was bullying me because he was hammering me that much. I was like, fucking leave me alone, Mowgli, man. I'm a wee guy. I'm trying my best, and I was losing my hair and things like that. And he used to pick on me for going bald and all that. And you know what? You're very sensitive at that. And I was really sensitive at that age. I was like, because my hair started going thin when I was about 18, 19 years old. And by the time I was 21, it was gone.
Aye.
And he'd be like, one baldy morning. I'm like, fucking hell, don't say him. And I remember one day, like, we were playing out, and it was odd dirt, and my head was odd dirt. And he's like, oh, and he slaughtered me in front of everybody. He's like, big man's had a fucking hair transplant. I wish. No, really. Like, I ended up doing that to him and rubbing it off. And he's like, nah, he's no. Everyone just calm down. He's no had a hair transplant. You know what I mean? But you're feeling the effects of it. But when he was away for that, he would take me aside and he'd say, look, I'm picking you because I like you. I need you to understand that I don't mean anything with this, but I need you to be able to integrate with the group, and integrate with the group, you need to be able to deal with this and deal with the slaggings and the things that come your way. And I was like, aye, but it's fucking harsh, man. And he's like, I know, but you need to take it.
The characters in that dressing room, when you look at McGann, John Joe McAlpine.
Aye, unbelievable. Like, Des McKeown obviously came in as well, to what he ended up being the manager and things like that. But boys that had played at a high level that could really teach you a lot. But again, I go back to the John McVeigh and Andy Smith. Remember, like, what a combo there. Do you know, you get good cop, bad cop. You get serial killer and psychopath. you didn't know how to deal with it. You didn't know what to turn to. You were like, fuck, he'll go off his nut at me, but he'll go off his nut at me as well, so I just better do it right.
The proper, they were our managers and the assistant manager at Albion Rovers, but they came through the sort of old school Airdrie time. Alan McDonald that was the manager. Like Alan Lawrence and John Martin and all that, who
they were old school. But he's definitely, and obviously my dad as well. My dad played a huge part in my career, but John was brilliant for my career, just making me understand the football back then, 4-4-2, big target man, small striker. Like, me and you would have been a brilliant combo. You'd play off me, do you know what I mean? And then we started playing 4-3-3, and he was like, you just be the 9, stay, occupy the 2 centre backs or the 3 centre backs, and I could occupy them. And again, we spoke about it off camera, but like, I played that character brilliantly. I was an actor as a footballer. I made everyone believe that I was this big, aggressive, robust, fucking angry centre forward that wanted to smash everybody. But off the pitch, I wasn't like that. I was like, thought I was a good guy that hung about with people, and I'm a non-alcoholic, don't drink or that, so I was always a driver and nights out and things like that. And if you wanted a lift, I'll give you a lift. I just thought I was a good guy, but I knew he sort of changed when I went on the pitch, because I knew people would look at me and be like, fuck me, he's like, not to criticise the way I look, but I'm not the best looking. So, you play into that, but like, you play into that angry Russian gangster look that I obviously had back then, where even if I was smiling, I looked angry. So it helped me, I think, with my career, that, and I ended up getting, like, obviously I'd say that I'd played at so many teams, but I ended up playing for Stenhousemuir, East Stirling, East Fife, Arbroath, Berwick Rangers, Stranraer, Albion Rovers. Played everywhere. And it was always with the trying to get back into full time, and for whatever reason, I think my attitude was probably not what you needed it to be that person that remained in a full time environment.
We talk about it all the time. The things you would change is frightening. And by the way, managers probably signed you because in that like era as well, centre forwards were mostly what you're explaining there. They were tough, they were robust. it was difficult to, managers were probably taking you for that reason. You're saying you played up to it, but it's maybe a strength as well.
Oh, it's a stereotype, but I knew it was a stereotype, but again, I thought it was quite clever that I played on it straight away. I knew that people would think, but again, I'm not trying to blow smoke up one arse here. I was good. I could take the ball and I could link the game. I could bring people in.
Do you think with your career, the longer you went on, the angrier you got, you weren't getting that?
Yes, definitely. I was very frustrated because I wasn't shown anywhere near what I was probably capable of. And I was very reactive to things that I thought, like, you're seeing people getting moves and you're going, fucking hell, I've played against you 3 or 4 times this year and I've been better in the games.
Aye.
And I've scored more goals in the games, but you're getting moves. But I know why he was getting the moves. His attitude was better. He was doing the extra work. He was doing what was required. He wasn't a moody bastard. He wasn't doing what I was. He wasn't getting sent off, making stupid decisions. But it's funny because I believe everything happens for a reason. And that was my motivation because I wasn't successful in that career. Yeah. I was like, you know, people say, they have fire in the belly. I didn't have fire in the belly to have a career after football. I had pure fucking rage because I knew I didn't do well enough as a player. I had to make sure I didn't want to be like anything else. And I wanted to go into football. I originally wanted to be a manager. And then I watched Alex Neil working and I went, fuck me, I can't do that. He's just too good, Alex. So
did you do all your badges?
No, I didn't do badges because I quickly realised, Chris, that coaching wasn't. I started coaching at Easter. I know we're going between like careers here and decades and things like that. But I started coaching at East Stirling when I was 27, 28. And again, I don't know if I was earmarked for a manager's role or not, but I know they liked me at East Stirling. And
I started twice, weren't you?
Aye. And I started coaching when I was like, I don't really like this. I don't really like being on the pitch when it's raining and it's cold and it's. I actually prefer like, analysing and scouting and doing the opposition stuff and then watching players and giving my opinion in that. So that's what obviously led me into doing that. But I remember saying to my wife, I remember saying to Yvonne that if there comes a point, Yvonne, that I get an opportunity to go full-time football, no matter what the salary is, I'm taking it. And to be fair, she was so supportive. She's like, yeah, absolutely. That's what you want. It's your dream. It's your passion. You can do that. And look, I was working for SSE, changing the electric meters and that, and I was on, what was I on then? 26 grand a year I would have been on, and Hamilton Accies came in. I'd been working part-time for them, and Hamilton Accies came in and offered me 21. So it's not a huge drop.
Still a drop though?
It's still a drop.
At a time,
no, just me and the missus. But like, I couldn't say yes quick enough. I was like, where did I say? I had no interest in terms of negotiating or anything like that. Ronnie McDonald, Alex Neil, Billy Reid was the manager at the time, Frankie McAvoy, Les Gray, they were absolutely brilliant for me. Yeah. They gave me that opportunity to come in, and to be fair, like, Alex Neil was, look at what he's doing just now, it's his career, do you know what I mean? He's been absolutely unbelievable. Billy Reid as well,
That's some career, guys.
Yeah, but Billy he was the original manager, then he left, and then Alex stepped up, and then I think you could say the rest is history for Alex now because he's done so well. It's
meant he went full circle there, isn't it? For Hamilton as a kid and then you end up back. It's mad, isn't it?
Aye, and I live there now as well. But and I always, it's probably the first result I look out for to see how they're doing. Just weirdly, just always want to check to see how they're doing and how they're getting on. I know they're not in a great shape just now, but they've obviously got new owners and things like that. So hopefully that they pick up. And
big club as well, isn't it?
Aye.
It's sad to see them. Obviously not getting the
great fan base. Catchment area is brilliant for players, absolutely brilliant for players. So you're hoping that they can get back to where, and I think they're a Premier League club, to be fair to them.
So here's a question for you then, while we were on the subject of playing before we jump into after. I know you mentioned a couple of times there, so you've done the scouting role now, it's something you're really proud of and stuff. So you look back at your career, you've said a few times actually, but would you think if you'd have changed a wee bit, you would have made that jump? Do you think it was that you were angry or like scouts seen that for the side of the park? Maybe wouldn't they? Because ability, everybody I speak to about you, ability was top.
I was a lazy bastard.
What you're looking at, is it lazy?
I was lazy, Faddy. I was a lazy bastard. I was
lazy on the park. What do you mean off the park?
But I would say I was lazy on the park as well. It was a bugbear of my dad's that my dad used to hate. See, when I was taking a breath, and you see some players, I always clock it straight away, but I'd always put my hand on my side like that. And my dad would be like, "Can I do that? Can I do that? Because it looks like you're knackered." And I'm like, "I'm fucking taking a breath." And he's like, "I know, but you can't do something else." I was like, "Well, if I put my hands on it, it looks worse." I was like, "What do you want me to do?" And he's like, "You can't do that." I think it's funny, like, I was lazy. There's no doubt in that. I had a lazy mindset. I had a lazy mindset to training. But it was the running annoyed me. I couldn't be bored with running. But give me the ball, get the ball at my feet, then we play. Then get to the games, then we play. And it's only now that you recognise and you realise that that's what keeps you. That's what gives you the longevity of a career. And I didn't have it, and I fell out of love. And again, going back to the anger that I had for me when I seen, and I'm not going to name any names, but I seen so many players that I grew up with. And I'm like, fucking miles better than you. And I know that sounds dead arrogant, but I'm like, I was well ahead of you when I was thinking, and for whatever reason, it just didn't. And like again, we've all got the sob stories, ain't they? I was meant to go down south like 4 or 5 times. Different clubs are interested in me. Had agents chatting my door, giving me football boots and all the things that you want, and you believe the hype, don't you? You think, oh, this is it, it's going to happen, and then it doesn't, and then you wait all summer, and you're like, when's this opportunity going to come? And then it doesn't come, and then you're scrambling because the teams have already got their squad sorted. You need to then get back in, get training, get playing, and things like that again, and it ended up affecting me more than I probably realised at the time. And then when I was like, because I officially stopped playing when I was 28. I'm 41 just now. Like, and when I think back, now listen, I say officially stopped playing, so I ended up going in full time with Hamilton Accies when I was 29, and then moved down to Norwich City when I was 30, and was in the Premier League at 30. Do you know what I mean?
Young scout.
So I was a young scout, a young chief scout type thing. So you can reflect in different ways, but in terms of me as a player, I just, it's a bugbear of my dad's. Me and my dad have had like heart to hearts about it, where he was like, it's a bit too harsh on you, a bit too hard on you when you're younger. I was like, no, I know, you probably were. I says, but I understand now, being a parent and seeing and being in the jobs that I've been in and the work that I've done, that why you were like that with me. Because you've seen the ability, you've seen what I was capable of, and I wasn't producing it in the basis that I probably should have been.
I think in life in general, it's certainly my philosophy is, don't have any regrets. Things happen for a reason. So
I'm a big believer in that.
Your career you've had after football, which we'll go into, but you wouldn't have probably had that.
I don't think there's any doubt. And that's what I'm a big believer in God. I've got my faith, and I think that was my path, was not to be the big footballer, the Haaland or whatever, the Alan Shearer of Scotland, because that was my dreams. I wanted to be that was my celebration, the hand up, the Shearer. That was what
I used to get slag for that. Was a week for me or all.
That was it.
I
just wanted to be Shearer. I just absolutely love Shearer, and it never worked out for me. But it then meant, when I had the conversation with myself in the mirror, it was like, what the fuck do you want to be? What do you want to do? Like, where are you going to go with your career? What are you going to do?
It's amazing you talk about your dad, because when me and my old man talked similar, my old man used to say to me, the difference between a good junior player and a professional player was mindset, attitude and consistency. He used to say to me all the time, if you were as good when a manager pissed you off or you were playing against a defender who hated you, if you could do that every game, you wouldn't be playing here. Because I used to raise my game if a manager dropped me, and I'd come on the park and I'd go score 3 and he'd back me. How you not bottling that for the next week? Because I was thinking about the nightclub after it with my pals. Genuinely, I was like, I just want to go out. It's just amazing. Like, I think everybody probably get honest criticism for your old man. And then when you look at it, you kind of know. At the time, I was probably telling me shut up, but I must have fucking.
You argue back because you know he's right. That's why you argue back, because you're like, oh.
Some of the ones that made it, they're not. Never the best players, but the best attitude. They were in the dancing, they run it.
Totally. Yep. They weren't doing the stupid things, weren't going out and like. And I didn't drink of that, but I was a daft lad at times. I would just like be doing stupid things, be late for training, or not turn up with boots missing or chingars missing or whatever. And
being a young boy,
just forgetful of things that you want to be professional. Like, and another thing, like, my diet was terrible. That's I could go on there and say, let's see the Friday night.
I've heard this.
Massive fucking bowl of tuna pasta.
Tuna pasta.
Like Chris. I mean, like,
I don't know
that. Think you see what you make it in. Salad bowl. Like salad, but that side. And I just blah, and then have toast weight and all that. I would just
that'd be your last meal. I seen open goal.
That would be my. But that was, and I still love it to this day. My wee girl doesn't love it. My wee boy loves it. But I found that, and then obviously it's carb heavy. You're like filling yourself up so much, and then I didn't realise that it was making me so like, fucking heavy when I was running and training and things like that, that I would have that, guys, I'd have that 3-4 times a week. And like, not like overnight, I would say, not even overnight. There was a summer period where I went from not being skinny, but none really on me, to being fucking massive and thinking, this is good to be a target man, but you're lasting 60 minutes. You're blowing up. And that was my problem. I blew up, and then my attitude to like getting the weight off or trimming down or staying wasn't great. It wasn't what it should have been. I remember there was one pre-season, and I'm not blaming anybody for this, but there was one pre-season where it was after I'd scored 11 goals in the league for Stenhousemuir, but I think in total I had 14 or 15 and something like 29 or 30 games. So it was a good record. It was my breakthrough season, my breakout season, playing up front with Paul McGrillen, similar left-footed player that gets in behind. And we'd done really, really well. And I had loads of interest, apparently. Loads of people interested me because I was 20 years of age, scored all these goals, big left-footed centre forward. There's not many of them kicking about type thing. And we were part-time at Stenny at the time, and I was working JJB Sports, just like as a, can't remember what to call it,
just
sales assistant. Exactly. It wasn't very good, to be fair. I was fucking shite at that. But this was crap. I used to hide. See when they were looking, like, fuck, I'm way up the back. I'm not a salesman. That was my big problem. I'm no salesman. I've got the gift of the gab in a different way. I can talk the talk, but kind of sell you things. It's either you want the product or you don't type thing. I see it black or white. But I remember that pre-season, and you might laugh at this, right? But I absolutely fucking hammered it. I had ankle weights. I had rocks in a backpack. I was like, you wouldn't believe. I was like Rocky. Honestly, I was doing everything. And for pre-season, I was at the front. I've never been at the front in pre-season ever. And I was Stenny. And I was absolutely thinking, like, I'm flying here, man. And then fucking Des McCrone signed Colin Cram, Frankie Carroll, and somebody else, man.
Machines, were they?
And I was like, Dyak. And I dropped right down the pecking order. Went from being first choice with Mowgli to being fourth choice, fifth choice. And then David Templeton came in.
I was about to ask you that. Did you play?
Temps took my place.
Temps went to your team at Stenny when you 16.
Brilliant.
Scored goals.
Brilliant.
Couldn't stop scoring goals.
And that was when I knew I had to leave Stenny. I remember Des had says to me, and again I'd been angry. So see where you were different to that, where you were being benched. I went a moody bastard. I was dead moody. I was like, okay, I should be playing. This is rubbish. I've trained like a beast all summer, man. I've been as fit as I've ever been. But I wasn't probably producing in the pitch, like, or even in training. And I remember we were up away to East Fife, and Des dropped me. I was on the bench, I was on the stand. It was one or the other, I can't really remember. But Temps made the bench. And then he came on and he scored an absolute beauty. And I remember going, I'm fucked. That's me fucked.
His
ability was frightening.
What did you used to play with each other? Was it Stenny? Was it Glenafton as well? Did you mention?
At wee times at the time, he was about 6 stone. He was 16, but he looked him at 12. Just his ability was fit.
His shot was hanging off him as well, but
just for goal.
Brilliant. Great ability. Great boy as well. He was a great boy. And that was the moment when I went, oh fuck, I'm fucked here. I'm done for. So I ended up leaving Stenny, went to East Fife. Didn't really work at East Fife. And then just started just kind of dotting about the clubs.
Did you end up at juniors in for that? Was that just who was the manager at the time? Gordondale. That's probably why.
Gordondale was basically gone after had a massive budget.
I remember.
So he was basically going about League One and League Two, just trying to get.
Was some squad? It was some.
Who was some of the boys that were there doing news with her? I'll know loads of them.
Craig Farrows.
He was brilliant.
Paul McMillan, Joe, myself,
Chick Conley. Gordon Moffat.
Moff is brilliant. Did Fabi go there for a year during news with that period of time? No. Oh, Fabiani, I'm sure he went down in the body.
So I basically had the choice at that time, and we probably had the same sort of options. I could have signed for Berwick. I was actually on my way to sign me Berwick, and I got a phone call with Gordon.
Big jock.
And I get the mate, I'm doing it. What do you call it?
It's a massive
I went for the money.
Loads of players
for the money.
One of the chappies in the town, and he just remember Dale Anderson at the time, he was an old school pro junior guy, and I went, what will I ask for? He's like, ask for something stupid. I asked for it, and he's like, I'll never get that. He went, aye, that's it.
Aye.
I went, right, okay, I'm letting it happen.
I had 3 or 4 other offers and going after them, blew them at the water.
It's a big club. That's the other thing.
Listen, the guys were great, weren't they? Like, we let them down as a team. We let them down. The players that they brought in, I ended up having to get a hernia, and again, my mind was all over the place by that point. Like, what a hernia should take you 6 weeks, 7 weeks to get back. Probably took me 12 weeks. Because I just fucked about.
I was thinking that season as well, because I'd been sort of senior and I went junior. And I just sort of went into that sort of amateur mentality.
I think we all did, Chris. I think
by the way, it happened the other way as well. You see, when I went senior a couple of times for junior, they were looked at as a junior player. It was the same, the opposite way. You kind of.
I remember, see, when I played junior, I remember going down to the level and thinking, wow, there's some good players at this level, much better players than I ever gave it credit for. Players that should easily be playing League One in Scotland. And they just chose not to, didn't they? Remember Irvine Meadow, the money they threw at the Meadow?
Did you see that West Premier League at the time?
It's frightening, mate.
Yeah.
It's frightening.
I said they would play easily in League One right now.
See, you look at guys.
Agreed, definitely agreed.
See Brian Dingwall, you can't tell me he's a centre forward, he wouldn't have played.
And remember how strong then I know they're still really good just now, but how strong a squad consistently did Auchinleck have?
Oh, what about
at Meadow were spending money,
What about the job that Tucker's done down there?
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
He's still doing it.
He always goes and finds the players for the wee sort of old teams in your carcass.
Fair play to him, man. I seen him on the telly when they were playing Celtic, and I'm like, I remember him coming up to me in a building site when I was 20.
I'm sure the way
he
know the senior job, Joe, you might know this, is that he's never
badges.
Get his badges. Because he's not get his badges, he can't get a senior job.
He likes it in there as well.
Just happy going and winning hundreds of trophies.
And it's not. We all know that the feeling of winning is brilliant. And we had some good days in the juniors. To me, they scored some good. I remember me and Big Feroz, we played against Cumnock, and that's obviously a big derby. And look, to be fair, it's 2 big bald battering rams. The style then was just playing to the 2 of us, and it was like a competition. Feroz scored a beauty, and then I scored a beauty. We won 2-0. It was a brilliant day. I remember the celebrations, thinking, wow, this. You get this place going. This could be something special. And then we got relegated. Honestly,
do you know what happened? Right, everybody's head went. We turned up to play Lanark in the playoff.
Yeah,
and we 8 players.
Aye, remember that.
He pulled in 3 amateurs. And the first game we drew with them at Glenafton, 1 each. And we went to the next game again. There was only 8 players. And I remember at the end of that game, was it Chris Merrill's centre half?
Aye.
He tried to Cruyff turn at the last minute and gave away a penalty. And Gordon Dale, at the end of the game, he's like, don't worry about it, boys. Enjoy your summer. I'm like, no. You, right? I was a bit of an argument man as well. And I went in the changing room, I went to sort of stand up and go for him. And Craig Furnoz is a pause.
Oh,
and he must have seen it. As I went to go for him, next minute he had me, my arm.
Do you want me to tell you a brilliant story about this in my head? So I know Big Chris, he's a great guy, right?
Sorry to interrupt. His wee boy, Oliver, goes to my wee boy's football. I see Chris every Saturday.
He's a brilliant guy.
We talk to each other every Saturday.
I apologise there,
he's a lovely big guy as well,
quite
Chris.
like big Ryan Jordan. Do you remember Ryan Jordan played? So Ryan had that attitude about people, didn't he? Like Ryan again, he was alright, but he was on the park, he was a kid paracetamol waiting to happen. But one of the guys I played was a guy called David Middy. Do you know Middy? He's a very great guy, centre half. But we had a ruckus after a game with Lanark and Rutherglen, and Chris was fighting with Middy. And Middy was fighting me and thinking it was Ryan Jordan. And he came in, he's like me, just battered that Ryan Jordan. I'm like, I was Chris Merrill. He's like, what's that guy? Jamie thought he was battering big Ryan Jordan.
I couldn't see Mayor being like that. And to be fair, he's a big bit of a boy, Mayor. Do you know what I mean?
Guy, but that's what I mean. He thought he was just Ryan Jordan. Obviously, Ryan did a bit about him. So he thought he was fighting with Ryan Jordan.
Ryan Jordan, he had a bit of a reputation, so he did.
Ryan was hard work.
See that Glenafton team? We were top at Christmas, right? And that was like,
so we were, right?
Your team that had Brian McGinty and all these.
I remember.
And we were ahead of them, but then there was a wee bit of they stopped sort of paying the boys. And the boys just went sort of training.
Did you know meant to come to? Because I'm pretty sure Jamie came to Clyde and I went that season, and you were there, but you didn't get it agreed, did you?
For somehow my contract ran until the October, but I went to sign with the Clyde.
You were there, I remember that.
And Glenafton wanted some stupid.
Did they?
For money to transfer fee, so it didn't happen.
killed you. We could have been teammates, man. That'd have been amazing. Now the big man used to play the big angry role. I'd have been a wee handsome model. So he's talking shite. Let's move into the serious stuff.
I must be sitting there, I'm Tom.
So this is the part I'm interested to hear. So you've kind of gave us, you've alluded to it anyway. You went to Hamilton as a scout. You realised that probably, I mean, you obviously had a passion for an eye for player. So how was that experience for you? Then get into that.
Oh, well, the story starts where I was working with SSE, and I stopped playing at East Stirling. They asked me to keep on a coach, and I was like, I don't really want to do this. And I thought, no, I was going to just disappear, but I step away, take a break, and a guy called Alan McGonigal. Do you know him? Boness? Alan.
Oh no, I do know he is.
Alan again, like a mentor to me back in the day. He get in contact with me, and he's like, what your name?
In St Mirren at one stage with Daniel Lennon.
No, I don't know. It might have been like I didn't know this. Right. Unbeknown to me, he had an involvement with Hamilton Accies. Right. And he's like a postie in Falkirk and that area. He's a brilliant guy, Alan, honestly, a brilliant guy. So he gets in contact with me, and honestly, I was about to just shoot it down. I was like, I'm not going fucking junior again. I've no interest in it. He's like, before you shoot me down, just come up, and you can help me if you want to do coaching, if you want to do playing, if you want to just whatever you want to do, just come up. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And then Stevie Kerrigan, you know Kegs?
Aye.
Kegs, what a guy Kegs is. He's a brilliant guy. He was like his assistant. Yeah. So he's like, come on up. And I was like, right, okay. So I went up, and I got a wee bit of enjoyment again, a wee bit of love again. I didn't enjoy the playing. But Alan was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to coach? Do you want to scout?
Options.
And I was like, what do you mean scout? He's like, well, do you want to go and watch the opposition for me? I was like, that sounds like a good idea. He says, like, we're playing Glenrothes in the Cup. Go up and watch Glenrothes, and I'll give you expenses and that, petrol money and that. I was like, brilliant. So I went up with a notepad, big massive notepad. Back in the day, like, you just fucking stood and wrote it.
The iPads.
And then the iPads, none of the wee fancy, even your phone, like you could do it on your phone now. And this big notepad, and I was sitting in a stand, and I was just writing like what they played, like, say it was a 4-4-2, and I was like, well, we could do this. The right back steps in with the ball. When he steps in, he's lazy recovering, so we could get down the side of him. If you play one of your quick players down the side, we can get in behind the ball. So I was just doing all that, and you know what? The more you're doing it, the more you're going, oh, this is me. This is what I like. So I sent it over to Alan, and it was like 8 pages long, and I think he read it all. So he's phoned me up. He's like, "This is brilliant, son. Like, thanks a lot for this." He says, "We're playing Glenrothes this weekend. I'll let you know how we got on." So I leave it, and next minute he phones me on the Sunday. They won the game, and he's like, we done everything you said to us to do, and we won. He's like, that was unbelievable. He says, like, the right back, we got in behind him twice and we scored twice because he kept stepping in with the ball. And when he stepped in with the ball, he lost the ball, and his recovery runs weren't great. He says, do you mind if I say to Hamilton Accies about you? And I was like, what are you going to say to them? So I just asked them if they're looking for somebody to scout for them or that. Aye, no bother. So he phones at Hamilton. And again, unbeknown to me, like he tells me this further down the line, he got in contact with him, and he's like, I've got a guy that could go and scout for you. Didn't tell them it was me, didn't tell them my name or that. Aye. Not that I don't think it would have put them off for that if he knew it was me or not, but he didn't tell them. He says, I've got a guy that wants to scout. Would you be interested in? And I think Billy was like, aye, like thinking, fucking on you go, who's this guy going to be type thing. So they played Dunfermline in the Cup, and I think at the time they hadn't beat Dunfermline in like 10 games or something like that. The record wasn't great, and I went up and watched Dunfermline, and yet again I was saying, look, the distances between their defence and midfield, their lines weren't very good, so you can play in between them. I says, and especially make sure you play Stevie May on the last man. Don't ask him to get linked in the game. Just tell him to play in the last man, because there's always one that drops, and the one that drops he'll be quicker than. And he done, and I sent it, put all that in again, another 8 pages, 9 pages, whatever it was. Sent it over to them. I actually watched the game. I went to the game. We beat them 2-0. Stevie May scored twice, getting in behind the centre forward, and just being really cute and clever and getting in. So Billy, I think, reached out to Alice. He's like, can that guy do it again? And I was like, well, better still. He actually lives in Hamilton. Do you want to meet him? And they're like, aye. Who's it? Joe Savage. Can you go and down meet him? So I went into Hamilton's training ground, training grounds or stadium. Aye. And they were doing opposition analysis on, like, again, they were doing like a debrief basically. So I came in, and it was quite intimidating, but Alex Neil was there, Martin Cannon was there, Billy Reid was there, Frankie McAvoy was there. 4 or 5. I'd never met these guys before, right? So I walk in. Oh, big man, they all shake my hand, sit down, start talking, bang. Big man, what's your thoughts on this? So he just threw me right at the spot. But I was confident, see, because I knew what I was talking about, and I felt I knew what I was talking about. I like football, I like analysis. I was like, well, I would do this, I would do that. And we started, like, do you know what, we just all in the room, just chewing the fat, talking away. Felt really natural. And they were like, hey, big man, you want to keep doing this for us? I was like, aye, fine. And not many people know this, but I was doing it for £30.
So you were getting £30 a week? Game or whatever, a week, was it?
£30 a week. That's what I was getting paid whilst doing my job with SSE. And again, me and my wife were like ships in the night. I was in it, like leaving the house at 7 o'clock in the morning, to be in the first job for 8 o'clock.
What a travel.
Finishing for 4. I was coming home. She's a teacher. She would maybe finish a wee bit later or whatever. I would be out the house, say I had to go up and watch Arbroath, or I had to go and watch East Fife to have to drive. So I'd be out the house, I'd have my dinner and just jump in the car and away I go. And I absolutely loved it. And tuna pasta as well. That was a go-to meal. I'd take it with a container as well, just to drive it. But then we would go and I would do that and watch. And then I started getting more involved in player scouting, like watching players and things like that. And I remember watching, like, do you remember who was it? It was John Collins and they were at Livingston. Who was it? It was another one that they were coaching Livingston, and they were excellent. Like, they had some excellent players, and I remember watching Livy and thinking, God, these are miles better than they're kind of given credit for. And we ended up signing Tony Andrew and Jesus Garcia Tena. So big Zeus, we called him, centre back, left-footed, 6'3", didn't want to run, big massive thighs, but an absolute wand of a left foot. So we got him in a free transfer, and then Tony Andrew, I remember having to negotiate with Alex and say, look, Alex, just bring him in. He's like, but he's not done that way. I says, Alex, I'm telling you right now, you'll play. So Alex played a lopsided 4-2-3-1. So one, like Dougie Imrie stayed high and wide.
Yep.
Ali Crawford tucked in off the left. Mm-hmm. So we would always dominate the middle of the park. I says, you put Tony as the 10 and just say to Tony, just hit the box, support the striker. I'm telling you right now, it'll be brilliant. And he's like, right, no bother. And he trusted me, he believed in me, and we took Tony in, and we ended up obviously getting promoted. We were brilliant, absolutely brilliant that year.
We beat Hibs in the playoffs.
Aye, Hibs in the playoffs.
Right, I remember that.
Aye, Tony Andrew scored, and then we brought in Jason Scotland and the players that we brought in, and Alex and Frankie were brilliant coaches at the time, but that they were the two. And I mentioned they two signings because they were the two where I went, fuck, if you get this right, like you believed in it. You believe you can really do something special here. And that's what we done. We got them two right. We got up to the Premier League. We ended up doing really, really well. We beat Celtic at Celtic Park. I think it was like the first time in 70 odd years we'd beat them at Celtic Park. And then Alex got the Norwich City job. But I've not sort of answered the question about, like, when I was at SSE, I remember saying to my wife, look, if I get an opportunity to go full time here, I'm taking it, no matter what the salary is. If it's a drop in salary or anything, I'm taking it. She was very supportive. She says, definitely. But I totally thought that you would be like that anyway. And I got the opportunity again, probably because we got promoted to the Premier League. That only went full time when we got promoted. And then we went obviously on a great run and got the move to Norwich City after that.
And did you? I think I read this or I seen it in Open Goal. You knew Alex, but you still had the interview down there, didn't you? You wanted to take you, but you had the interview.
Oh, aye.
You didn't just walk into a job.
But again, I think that's fair because you're coming from. I was in the Championship in Scotland, and then I was 6 months in the Premier League in Scotland, or Premiership, and Norwich are a big club, and again, much bigger than you think until you get down there and you see what it's one city club. Do you know what I mean? You see the fan base and the expectations that they have as a club. Like, I remember Alex was saying to me, "Look, I want you. It's not really my decision, Joe. You'll need to interview." And I remember working so hard and looking at all the teams, looking at all the players, and I went down with a list of players that I think that Norwich City could sign, and I was the chief executive, the head of HR, and the technical director, the three of them at the time. And to be fair, they said the two of the three said to me after the interview that I absolutely blew them away.
For people that don't know what's involved in that, what is involved in that? I take it you were going for a sporting director?
No, it was just a chief scout role. Just a scout role.
What's in that?
So, obviously, there's so much data now. So it's heavily data driven. But back then, again, it was 10 years ago, 11 years ago. Like, data was forming, but it wasn't as strong yet.
Yeah.
But I just be on like the internet, like just searching for, like looking at the team, I was fortunate, obviously I knew what Alex would set up like. I knew how he plays his teams and how he wants to set the players up and what the formation is and how he'll attack, how he'll defend. So I'd always sort of shadowed Alex in that way. I remember going to, Alex would take, like, and people don't know this about Alex, but when Alex was the first team manager at Hamilton, he was still taking like the 17s. He was still taking them at the Ravenscraig. So I would jump into the Ravenscraig and just stand beside him. I wouldn't get involved. I'd just stand beside him, listen to him coaching.
Yep.
And just watch him and how intricate he was and the detail that he'd go into. And I'd be like, right, I'm just picking up everything that he's doing and everything that he's saying. So when I went to the time to interview for Norwich, I had a fair idea of how he would operate. And Alex wasn't in an interview.
No.
He wasn't.
It was an old pals. Like.
No. He'll tell you that himself. Like, I earned that right. I came out of that. Do you know what I mean? When sometimes you come out of somewhere and you think to yourself, if somebody's done better than me, fair play to them. Because I've gave it everything there. I've gave it everything. And I interviewed on the Thursday, and then they offered me the job on the Friday, Saturday, and I was driving down the Sunday. I literally remember saying to my wife, I drove a Volvo what was it, the kind of the fat white ones, I can't remember what it's called. It's not a V40, but I drove a Volvo anyway. I think it was a C30, and literally just packed all my clothes, chucked it in the back of this car, didn't have it, like, just was like, right, I'm away. Put it in a sat nav. Next minute it's like 7 hours 20 minutes. I was like, what? Didn't realise it was as long as that. I was thinking of a 3-hour drive, 4-hour drive, 7 hours 20 minutes. I'm thinking, fucking hell, that's a long way away, this. And then drove all the way. No, she stayed. She stayed in Hamilton because you don't like, you didn't know how it would be, you didn't know how it was going to go. And like the interview, just to prepare for it, it was just watching Norwich's games, watching players, trying to understand the level, because down in England, like, it is very athletic. They're very powerful. They're very strong. Like, it's why up here in Scotland, like, I think we're quite a technical league up here, and everybody talks about how physical and aggressive, but we actually watch, a lot of the players are quite technical in how they play. But when it goes to opening up the pitch and trying to be like athletic and strong and powerful, most teams in England outrun the teams up here because they're 6'2", 6'3", and that's their average height down there.
Athletes, aren't they? They're
just athletes, just total athletes. And that was the biggest change for me. If you talk about scouting in Scotland to scouting in England, and I think Alex would say the same, was when you realise that the level, technically they're not better, it's just, they're just better athletes. They're built bigger, stronger, quicker, more powerful. And you have to realise that when you get into the Championship, you're playing 46 games, there's 24 teams, there's a lot of different teams that you're playing against. It's more, and the travel as well. Like, from Norwich to Manchester's 5 hours.
It's wild, isn't it?
It's mad. It's like, it takes you a long time, and if you can't afford to get flights and that, you're on a bus. Like, a lot of your time there, and a lot of the time they'll leave on the Friday. They'll train early on the Friday morning and leave to stay in a hotel overnight and things like that. So it's a big adjustment. It was a big adjustment for me that first year I was down. Like, and then we obviously get promoted to the Premier League. So within a year.
Obviously down there, it's like if you identify a player and they establish themselves in the team, they end up getting sold for a fortune.
That's
a big difference.
And
did you have a few of them?
Yeah, we did. We signed James Maddison.
Right.
We signed Ben Godfrey. There's ones that you have particular favourites that you have. Like, we signed a right back called Ivo Pinto, Portuguese right back, just could run all day. Ivo, I thought he was great for what we were wanting. We signed a big Dutch centre. Well, he's a left back, Mitchell Dykes, his name was, and he was an absolute beast, 6'3" left back, like, just fit. But again, we got relegated, and we couldn't get him up. We just couldn't afford them. So there's players like Nelson Oliveira, centre forward, was brilliant. See, technically, Portuguese centre forward, just brilliant. Take the ball, both feet, like, whatever side you showed him, we could put it in the top corner. Just excellent ability.
Is Naismith there?
Naisy, we signed Naisy as well. We signed Naisy for Everton.
Madison, would he go for when he was? Did you bring Madison into Norwich?
Yes, we signed him. We signed him for Norwich. I think they sold him for 25 million. And then sold, I think Leicester then sold him to Spurs for what, 50, didn't they? 1.8. 1.8. And Ben Godfrey, we signed him for 300 grand. I think he went for 27 million.
obvious when you looked at the boys when you're obviously gone down and scouting with the standouts?
We just
straight off the bat.
With Maddison, it was just he's just a magician, and he's just a pure technician.
Confidence about
just
totally.
See, when he was at Norwich, he went to Aberdeen and what?
Went to Aberdeen. Alex said he
went to
Aberdeen. Aye.
Scored that belter against Rangers.
Rangers top corner, Derek McInnes. Yeah, Dell took him. Aye, and then Alex left Norwich in that next season. Daniel Farker came in, who was obviously a brilliant coach as well. And Jay Mathers really kicked off, and I think he's like, I'm not going to get his numbers right here, but I want to say it was like 14 goals and something like 13 assists or something. It was something crazy like that meant somebody's going to take him. And he went to obviously Leicester and then at Spurs.
He seems a good lad, I know when you see it.
Yeah, he's in the darts and all that all the time in that.
He seems like he's quite
There's a question for you. See all that money? Did you get a cut of that?
No.
You'd be interviewing me, wasn't it?
No.
Chief Scout, have that in your contract?
No.
You get a percent.
I think some people do, but I didn't.
No.
I didn't have anything like that in mind.
I didn't know you were gone.
But do you know what I will say is I don't like that idea. I don't think, because you're working as a club, you're meant to be there to scout the. If you're scouting selfishly, if you're thinking I could sell him and I'm going to get 5% on a bet, you're not. Like you're being selfish for yourself. Whereas at the time we had a scouting department that was trying to stay in the Premier League. So if I'd heard anyone get, I would have been annoyed at it. I'm like, no, we're like, you're a team within a team. Like the scouts are all, you're a part of a wee group that you're there to scout the players for the club to get the best players to then stay in the league, and then whatever happens. So they're the coaching staff are there to coach the players to make the players better. The HR staff, the commercial department, everyone, you're all working for the same goal. So I think people would get annoyed if you're saying, "Oh, you're getting a percentage of selling him." Like, it's quite selfish, that.
See, on that then, with scouting, I told a couple of people who are interviewing you who I know a couple of guys are looking to start scouting. So obviously the job I'm doing now, I speak to guys that are getting to that 38, 39 and they're looking to maybe do the scouting. And I told them they're coming on. A couple of times, both or two or three of them had asked, so what do you think makes a difference, in your opinion, between a good scout and a really, really top scout? What would you say is the thing? Because for me, listening to you, it sounds like you've had a God-given talent for spotting something, you've been passionate about it and you've got into it. Big Kurt Willoughby's a part of me, Kirk, he's a scout
brilliant guy.
So Kurt's the best man at his wedding, but people say to me, oh, Kurt's a good scout, and I'm like, I'm not surprised, because Kurt was doing that to me at 19 in the gym. You should be here, or you shouldn't be doing that. So do you think it's an eye, or do you think it's a passion for it? What separates it?
I think it's a passion, an eye, determination, a dedication. I think you need to be out all weathers.
He travels, and he does his
everywhere.
job, and then he's everywhere. So
Kurt's brilliant. He's a top guy. Kurt, I love him to bits, to be fair. We go for lunch and that a lot. I think that it depends on the circumstances. Like when I was doing it, I just wanted to be out at games all the time, and I just wanted to watch players all the time and just build up that knowledge base of, if you said to me, what's the left back at Atherley like, Joan? I'd be like, really good. Or what's the left back at Leyton Orient like? I'm like, really, really good. Or I don't think he does this, or I don't like. I just wanted to immerse myself in as much of that as I possibly could, and just watch as much as I could.
Do you think that's changed nowadays with Y-Scout and so the start?
Yeah, the data.
Like that, the Moneyball thing.
Data's transformed it. It's totally and utterly.
Scouts spend a lot of their time in front of the computer now.
And even that is, a lot of them will spend a lot of time video scouting, because Y-Scout, you can get access to games all over the world, and it's wide angle footage, so you can see a lot of the time when you'd be speaking to coaches or managers. A big thing for them is, I can see how good he is on the ball. What about off the ball? What about recoveries? What about how does he track runs? What about defensive? Now the wide angle, you can see everything. But obviously data, the world's now heavily data driven. Like Hearts are totally and utterly data driven. Like Star Lizard, Jamestown, they highlight players, tell Hearts this is who we think shows up well in our data and our ratings, and then Dell gets to pick the players that he wants to sign.
They're off topic here, but it's interesting. So I use data and all that now in my work quite a lot, but see all of that, is that all driven by AI? And that's going in and look, or do you know that level of detail?
I think it will be now, but before it wouldn't have been. Like, I think, and I don't know huge amounts of it, but I think like Star Lizard, so that's Tony Bloom's actual company, and then he's got Jamestown's as the analytics. I think, or I've heard he employs like 2,000 people. I might be exaggerating, there might be a wee too much, but I've heard he employs a lot of people who are solely looking at data, solely looking at football players, solely identifying players, then they'll obviously look at leagues and they think, oh, well, this league's particularly good for this, but this league's not particularly good for that. How does it sort of combine with, well, it was England first, wasn't it, with Brighton, then Belgium, and now Scotland, but I think he's got like a team in Australia as well. So everyone's different. What's dead interesting about this is everyone uses data. Absolutely everyone. It's just some are better at using it and deciphering it, if you want to call it properly, than others.
You wonder how can Hearts do that and get that so right, and Celtic and Rangers are getting it.
I think Tony Bloom's an absolute genius, isn't he? I don't think there's any doubt that the guy's come up with something that is the envy of so many people, and again, like, he rents it out, doesn't he? Now, like, a lot of people buy that off him to use his data to highlight the squads and the make their teams better. And I think he's got, I can't name all the clubs because I don't know them all, but there's so many clubs that I know that are using them that are all really successful.
It's like everything else, innit? If one does it and it starts to look good, everybody then goes, I'll have a bit of that, and the merit just...
And there's so many different companies, you know what I mean? There's so many different companies that have getting their own point or take on it and what they think a good data company looks like and whatever. And so many clubs are now utilising that and buying the data or creating their own or bringing in their own data scientists and trying to really create so much of it. So
it all started with the vest, remember? The vest, the juniors used to come in, it was like they would be tracking out fire. I remember some of the guys I used to play, but I get me into trouble, but I just scored a hat-trick. I remember we only ran 5k.
I remember speaking to my head of performance before I left Hearts, and he was talking to me about boots. These boots, like, they've got the GPS in the boots, and it can tell you, like,
how many times you touch the ball.
And also, like, the detail that it can go into, like, prevent injuries and all the things that, and you were like, honestly, actually, it's unbelievable.
Well, while we're on the Heart stuff, obviously we know you went to Preston, you did a scout role there as well, even higher up scout role, I think, there, but then sporting director, how did that come into it? That's, to me, is like just a total pace in some ways, but how did that happen?
For Norwich, Alex left, and I had been the chief scout, but you weren't in charge of the department at the time, like the head of recruitment's in charge of the department, and then the sporting director's in charge of the football operation. So Alex left, and then Alex got the opportunity to go to Preston, which is a brilliant club as well. Great to tell you what a location that is for players. See if they get investment, Preston, like they could get to Premier League because they're 40 minutes from Manchester, an hour from Liverpool. You're beating Lytham. Lytham's beautiful. They're 20 minutes. They're 20 minutes from Lytham. It's a beautiful place to live. Alex went in as the manager at Preston. They needed a head of recruitment. He asked me. I met Peter Ridsdale, got the job as the head of recruitment, and knew exactly what we were about as a club. Like, we didn't do much foreign transfers the first couple of seasons, but we started to kind of look into it towards the latter stages of my time there. But we knew, Alex knew, I knew, Frankie knew, we all knew what we were as a team and how we would operate and the players to target. And we were really competitive. I don't think they've finished higher since we've been there. We finished 7th in the league the first year, and that season we finished 7th. The team that finished above us was Derby County, 2 points clear of us, and Derby ended up obviously going bust in the next year because they went administration and they were paying, obviously, I don't want to say they're paying players money they couldn't afford, but if you go into administration, then clearly you've not got you've not got the money that you probably thought that you did have. And I think they, like they all do in the Championship in England, I think they banked on getting promoted or getting into the playoffs, and because that's what they say about the Championship final, isn't it? It's like £100 million game. Like, you win it, your club's safe for the next 5-10 years or whatever. So when we were at Norwich, we had that opportunity. But whilst at Norwich, I started to see these people becoming technical directors, sporting directors, heads of operations, director of football, and I started reading up more and more about it, thinking, it seems quite interesting, that I quite like that. And then there was it's still going on just now, but there's a course called the Level 5 Technical Directors course with the St George's Park. So it's like the equivalent of the pro licence. So you're saying about coaching badges. I've got this certificate that's the Level 5 Technical Director. So I'm a qualified sporting director. So that's my badge. That's what I've got. And I had to go through like a process which was, honestly, it's probably the hardest process I had to go through in my life, where there's 30 or 40 of us invited down to St George's Park for a day's like situation where you've got people coming for the army, you've got all these people trying to interview you, and they're placing you in situations with other people. And remember, there was a round table, 6 or 7 years, and they were just on the spot saying, Joe, you become sporting director of Chester FC tomorrow. What's your first 90 days look like?
Wow.
And you're like, so you have to go straight away. Like, well, I'd introduce myself to the manager. I would want to make sure I would, but need to obviously manage upwards, need to manage downwards, blah, blah, blah. And I remember coming out of it feeling absolutely mentally exhausted. Do you know what? We're just like, wow. And again, I remember speaking to Alex Neil and Peter Ridsdale after, when I was driving back. It was like a 2-hour drive back to Preston. And they were like, how did it go? And I was like, I've given everything there. If I don't make that, the 12 or the 13 other people that I've got there in front of me, fair play to them, they've done unbelievable, because I have left no stone unturned to be as eloquent and as a good a communicator, and show that I'm a leader, I'm a manager, I can communicate well, I know my data. I try to do everything to show that I can do it all. Luckily, fortunately for me, I got the phone call to say that I'd get into it, which is brilliant. It was a 2-year course, and just around that time, I started to realise, this could be a bit of me. This is what I like, because you're able to put your own stamp on things and really manage the full football operation. And then I probably wouldn't have, if we're being honest with each other, I probably wouldn't have become the sporting director if COVID hadn't struck.
Right.
Because, or certainly not a sporting director for Hearts. COVID struck and we had moved down. We'd been living in Preston for 18 months. We absolutely loved it. Like, where we lived, 15 minutes from Lytham and things like that. The beach, it was brilliant. Weather's always much better than it is in Scotland. So many, honestly, so many things about it. You were thinking, this is great, this. And then COVID struck. Family wasn't allowed across the border. We had no family around there. Then you had to, obviously, remember, you had to select people that you could...
Right, like your close vicinity.
Who could visit you and things like that. And Frankie McAvoy stayed round the corner for us, but we couldn't really visit Frankie because he'd have his kids and that. And then Alex Neil and his wife and his children were, they were in Preston, but again, he had his family and that. So you started to feel a wee bit detached from the world. And I remember the Hearts job coming up, Craig Levine had left, and I remember seeing it and somebody saying to me, do you fancy that? I was like, nah, not really. Nah, I don't really want to go back up to Scotland just now. And then COVID struck. We weren't seeing family. My wife's a teacher. She couldn't, it's dead weird this, but she couldn't teach in England, even though everyone's got 2 degrees. She's now got a 3rd, but her degrees can't get her to teach in England. Aye, so she would have had to have done a post-grad to do it. And she's like, Joseph, I've just been a student and I've done it and I've done all this and I don't want to do that again. And I was like, no, I get that. And then the Hearts opportunity came back up again. It was Anne Budge and Andrew McKinley that I spoke to about the job. And you know what, when you speak to something, you just go, this feels right. This feels like a good opportunity for me. They were in the Championship, but we had a good squad. Robbie Nielsen was a manager. But guys, see if I tell you that I went into Hearts when they had nothing. Like, it was a mess. It was chaotic. There was no recruitment. There was no analysis. There was no data. There was no women. The women's team were there, but they weren't really affiliated with us. They were amateur. They weren't getting paid. There was no B team. The academy, without being disrespectful, I'd say it was on his knees.
No structure at all.
No structure. So I looked at that and went, this is the job that you want. This is what you want. You want to make an impact, don't you? You want to go in and get your teeth into it and really show people what you're capable of. And that was why I done it. That was why I took the chance. And again, listen, there's times you look back and go, but what a chance you had, what a job you had at Preston. You did great. I had it brilliant at Preston. They're not going away for that. Brilliant. Great fan base. The stadium's brilliant. We moved into a new training ground. They've remained in the Championship, obviously. We were getting closer and closer, but we just weren't getting to that next stage. I don't think there was ever going to be a sporting director job coming up at Preston with the way they operate. So I was just like, right, I'll take this opportunity. And I took the chance, obviously, to become the sporting director of Hearts.
Looking back at it, what do you think? I mean, I've heard you in other interviews. Sounded like you loved it, that you still burnt you out a wee bit.
It's people wonder, like, do you regret quitting Hearts? And I quit. I didn't get sacked. I made a decision. I've done 4 years, and I don't regret it at all, because I think there's times, you know, like, you've probably been in a position yourselves. Like, there's times when you just know your job's done. My job was done. Like, what I had to do, I done. Like I not taking a lot of credit or huge credit for it, but what they've done, like, I've helped build that. Like, Lord Shanklin, I signed. Stephen Kingsley, I signed. They scored the winners last night, or the 2 goals last night. Benny Beningame, Cammy Devlin, Craig Halkett, Craig Gordon, Blair Spittle. They were all signed under my watch. But like, people think the sporting director job's just about recruitment. That's, if you talk about, that's one part of it. Yeah. Like the women's team, I appointed Ava. They're top of the league. They're 4 points clear with 3 games to go. And I remember appointing Ava, and I remember thinking to myself, people are going to be thinking, it's just appointed Ava because she's good looking or she's attractive. I remember saying, and I had a conversation with Anne Budge when I phoned Anne, and I says, Anne, I've got a standout candidate. And she says, and what was your problem? I says, she's very pretty. I says, and I know how this country works, that as soon as you say something, as soon as you appoint something, like, all the comments are going to be, we know why Savage has done that, we know why Savage, like, but, and she's like, well, what are you going to do? And I says, well, do you know, and I was on, and this is a true story, right? I was on my phone, and somebody had sent me people send you links to things like that, and somebody had sent me a YouTube thing, so something funny, and I remember watching it, and the next one, once that had finished, another one had sort of come up next night automatically, and it was a motivational one. It says, believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing, you're here for a reason. It pure resonated with me, and I was like, do you know what? Eva's getting the job. She's getting it. She was like, listen, she was coming from America. She'd never been a head coach before in her life. She'd never been a manager. She'd tried and she'd tried and she tried. And when we appointed her, I wouldn't say she broke down, but she was so pleased and so delighted that somebody had given her an opportunity.
But again, a bit like you, she had that hunger.
Oh, aye, definitely. And obviously for there, like, Ava's done an unbelievable job there. She's up there, and obviously she's a female. She's up with the best coaches I've ever worked with. Oh, absolutely. She could easily manage a men's team, easily. I have no doubts in saying that she could step into that, because I think to be a manager, you need to have a real presence about you. You walk into a room, people go, whoa, Gaffer's here. She's got that. Tactically, she's brilliant. She's got real understanding of the formations and how she plays. And look at what she's done since she's been in. They've got to the cup final. She's finishing 4th with Hearts with the budget that it had is incredible. Like, when you've got Glasgow City, Celtic and Rangers all ploughing in, not millions more, but hundreds of thousands of pounds more than what we were putting in.
What about at Hearts, massive club, your wife and kids would go along in the game, and there must have been a bit of abuse there. How did you cope with that?
Listen, it's tough. Like, they've got high expectations as a club. I absolutely loved my time there. Like, nobody will ever get me to, like, criticise them or slag them or that. Like, the fans were always brilliant to me. Listen, there's sometimes the fans, they have a wee dig at you and a wee pop at you. You're coming out after games and things like that, and they'll shout things at you. That's just part and parcel of the job. My wife and that, they heard a few things, they've seen a few things, but look, they never really bothered me. They just got on me and accepted.
Not much than your wife called you, probably.
And that's the thing. Look, I remember I done an interview with the Open Goal, and I think I didn't show myself up well in that. I think people thought, oh, he's been a bit critical, and he quit. There was a headline that somebody says that I quit Hearts because of fan abuse. No, I didn't. I can tell you that right now. I did not quit Hearts because of fan abuse. I know the best looking, so I've always accepted that. I know I'm going to get criticised for how I look and for decisions that I make. That's Pep Guardiola gets criticised, Jurgen Klopp gets criticised, Martin O'Neill, Danny Role, Derek McInnes, everyone gets criticised in football.
100%.
I wish. A couple of wee boys shouted at me a couple of weeks ago, actually, I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. There's Pep, and I'm like, three stone Pep. Here you go. I'm 3 stone heavier than him, but I'll take that.
Do you hear that?
To be fair, there was nobody there, but I did get my phone out and laugh. All right with that, but no. But again, going back to the point about the abuse and that, like, somebody made a bigger deal of it than I did, and I actually regretted that, because I tried to be funny. That was what I tried to be in some of the stories that I told. I tried to say something like the story I told up at Dun United about going once, going twice, going bald. I thought I was being funny. People interpreted that as if, oh, big man's having a pop at Hearts.
I watched that. Didn't come across like that.
Do you know what, Faggy, so many people said the same, but a couple of people said, you came across a bit vulnerable and a bit soft and a bit, and I was like, that wasn't the way it was. I thought it was being funny. I thought, like, I absolutely loved my time at Hearts. It was just, for me, it was the right time. Now, do I regret quitting? Well, listen, they're probably going to win the league, so you're looking at it thinking, that's not really. But that was 2 years ago. Last year, they didn't have a great year. They finished 7th in the league. it was just the right time for me to leave. I'd taken it as far as I thought I could take it. But again, it was 4 years. It's not like it was 18 months.
But in fair to you as well, you've been into a club that didn't have much structure. You must have been doing everything. So 4 years is a long time.
Everything and everywhere. Listen, it's not all me. It's not the Joe Savage show. You've got staff, you've got people that work behind you that you rely on massively to help you out. I think, they've carried on what I think was good work. Like, if they win the league, I was going to say I'll have a toast, I'll have a wine myself, but I'll probably just sit and go, you know what? I remember doing, and I'm glad that we're speaking about this, because I remember doing an interview with Sky Sports where they says to me, what's your ambition? I says, my ambition is to win the league. I said, now I know that that's hard, and I know we've got two institutions in Celtic and Rangers, and massive clubs, and they generally win the league all the time. I said, but I wake up every morning wanting to win. I want to win. Whoever I'm playing against, I want to win. I believe we can win the league. And I get slaughtered for that. And then I can look at the camera and say, who's laughing now? Do you know what I mean? Because you could tell that they could do it. You could just... And unfortunately, it wasn't me. I wasn't the custodian that was going to do that. But Graham Jones, I'd like to think, inherited a really good squad. Derek McInnes has been openly stated. He inherited a really good squad. But it's not the squad, the structure, the infrastructure in behind the scenes. Guys, the players were getting food delivered to them, getting burritos delivered to them. We bought a canteen, a bistro, hired 3 chefs to cook the men, the women, the academy, their food, the training grounds, obviously at the Orium, the Heriot Watt University. It's a brilliant facility, but it can't house everybody. So we had to get planning permission to get modular buildings to get the academy more space for the academy staff to work in an environment that they felt. That was me. So I pushed the board to say, we need all this. So people think when you're a sporting director, it's just recruitment, it's eating prawn sandwiches in a boardroom and it's loving life. It's not like that. I was one of the ones that I was about everyone. I was in the office at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm not saying every night, but some nights I'd leave and I'd be home at 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. I'd try and get to the academy games. I'd try and get to the women's games. I'd try and get to the B team. We created the B team because I felt the jump from the 18s to first team was too high.
We talk a lot in here.
So we needed, and I told the club we need to get that. Celtic and Rangers have got it. We need it. And they've done it, and I think actually they're doing away with it. But it's still been brilliant because James Wilson's come through that. Macaulay Tate's come through that. Liam McFarlane, the big goalkeepers, came through that. So there's a number of players that have played in the B team that have been successful. And I played a part in all of that. So that's why when I look at what Hearts are doing just now and I look at how people say how they're operating, the academy, the 18s, they've just won the Youth Cup. It's all players that we signed when I was there. It's still the same coaching staff that I signed.
Again, I know you're not to praise for it, but you need to take a bit of personal pride on what they've done and the players that you brought to the club. But did you see that Andy Halliday stat about how many times Celtic, Rangers and Hearts have won all in the same weekend this home season?
No.
Once. Is that right?
That shows you it's a lot of players.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I think Shanklin, maybe Celtic getting any actual... He's a striker, you can tell him early, but Shanklin's he's the only marksman I've seen.
Best striker in the league. We'll
go into it now, Joe. Did Rangers ever try and sign him when you were up?
No, we never received any sort of... We always heard of the interest or apparent interest, but we never received any sort of offer of that from them. It was never anything that came to us that we had to reject or turn them down or that. We never had that. I don't know why. Again, they've obviously brought in Chermiti and the Miofsky and I'm trying to think of centre forward before that. It's a big. I thought he was. I like Dessers. I'll go on record and say when you watch him live and you see physical, he can run. He takes the ball and he scored goals. Listen, he missed a few chances.
That was the problem with him. It was like he would do the hard ones, he would bury. The easy ones he would miss.
I liked him. I like Dessers. Yeah, I thought he was a good striker. Dessers, to be fair, I did think he was a good striker. So I could see why Rangers maybe not have taken him then. But I was surprised that because Shanks didn't obviously sign a new contract last year till very late. I was surprised that Rangers didn't just take him because, and I know there's this, whatever the argument is, like you play Lawrence Shanklin. No disrespect to teams I'm about to mention, but you play Lawrence Shanklin at Ibrox against a Dundee, a Dundee United, a St Johnstone, a St Mirren, and you've dominated the ball, you've got 70% of the ball, and you've got 2 wingers, and you just say to Shanks, occupy the box, Shanks scores goals.
Look at how many chances Shermeety's missed this season?
Aye.
You put Shankland in the positions he's supposed
he's going to be a Hearts legend, isn't he? He's like, his numbers are brilliant. He's assisting it. Like, that massive credit goes to Robbie Nielsen for that. When the opportunity came up to sign him, Robbie was like, Joe, sign him every day of the week because he'll just score goals for us.
He come to Queen's Park straight to there, or did he go Queen's Park somewhere else? Yeah, United, was it?
No. So for us, it was he was over in Beershot in Belgium.
How was he?
So he'd scored like 30 goals in Championship for Ayr United. Dundee United, Robbie Nielsen signed him because they were like, well, he scores all these goals, we'll take him. He scores all the goals in the Championship, gets him into the Premier League. Don't think he had that prolific a season for Dundee United, but his numbers are still like relatively decent. Beershot over in Belgium took him. I think they were playing him like as a number 10, like an inside forward type thing. Didn't really work out for him. We got him for, I think it was like 400 grand we got him for. And his numbers are, I think he's like over 80 goals now for them in 100. Like he's certainly pound for pound the best I've ever spent money on in terms of 30 or 31.
And he's came to Queen's
Park, yeah.
Talk about a guest. He'd be a brilliant guest because he was, as a youth, he got released into and then went to Queen's Park and then went up to Aberdeen. Didn't really work out for him at Aberdeen, and he's openly spoken about that. But he's an absolute credit to himself, Shanks. And he's a captain as well, so he's a leader. Another one. Be interesting to see what career Shanks is after the game because proper presence, Shanks. Yeah. Shanks walks into a room, you're like, you
just don't know.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Joe, I think just finally, because we've took up a lot of your time, I really appreciate you coming on talking to us, because I think the story's just amazing, mate, in all honesty. I mean, you don't get to where you've got to without talent, hard work, bit of determination, self-belief comes out you, I think, 100%. But mate, we talk a lot in here, you obviously know what I do as a business, I gave you a snapshot on it, but I'm interested from your point of view, being a sporting director, just any advice you've got for players coming into clubs and stuff and what their career should be. The transition after it's really tough. You know, we speak to a lot of boys on here at clubs. Have you seen a lot of that over the years, and what kind of advice would you give guys for keeping an eye on after their career?
I think they've got a lot of spare time. Use it better than you use it. Don't go shopping. Don't be on laptops or your computers or whatever. Yeah. Try and educate yourself. Try and do scouting courses. I think there's so much now that's available, and whether it's if you want to remain in football, like chat your sporting director's door, chat your head of recruitment's door, ask them like what it is, chat if you want to be a coach, get in early to them. Now, listen, we've all heard that phrase that you might be a busy bastard, but the busier you are, the better it will be. Like, I would never there's a few players that came to me and would say to me and speak to me about like, how do you do this and what did you do here, and kind of ask me about my career, and I would explain to them. And I think like it's interesting because a lot of people don't know what they want to do either, but don't they know? A lot of people just
want to be a footballer.
Yeah, they not float through life, but they just they do what they need to do. They become a family man, and then they get to the point where they're thinking, well, the pension pot doesn't look that big. I've not made that much money. I've not played at the clubs that I thought I was going to play at. Where do I go for there? And there's so many things now that you guys are doing as well. It's like, I think that the skills are so transferable that people don't realise how transferable they actually are. Like being in a dressing room with 20, 30 different people, having to deal with managers, deal with criticism, deal with staff, deal with timelines, deal with pressure, deal with relegation, deal with 1 year contracts. You're playing for a contract at the end of the year, you might not get that, then you're having to go and try it. I don't know about you guys, I think, and I hate it, and I know why people do it, but see people go on trials with teams and that, I absolutely hate it. I hate it. I just think I'm asking you to come into an environment that you don't know anybody. You've maybe came from 2 hours down the road or up the road. You're going into this environment. It's like, be your best. Be the best that you can be. Go and smash it. Go and dominate them. And you're like, fucking don't know anybody. How am I going to smash it? These people might not like me. They might not take to me because the way I want to be might not be. And I always used to say that to the staff at Hearts. Like, be careful when we're bringing people in trials. Like, make sure you've got the player care around them, that they feel comfortable and that they understand what's going to be asked of them. And it's not just 2 days, it's not just 3 days where you're going 3 days and you're out. But again, I get it. I get that that's what football is, and that's how that thing is. So it's an interesting one because everyone's story is different, isn't it? Look at. See, I think if you'd said to people, maybe even yourself, Chris, if you'd said to you 20 years ago, Joe Savage is going to become the sporting director of Hearts, I think you'd have laughed. You would have been like, nah, no chance.
See, if you look at when you played, getting that job and seeing you on Sky Sports and Joe Savage as a sporting director at Hearts, I'm like, you would never have
Nobody see, and that was always a motivating factor for me, was that people just judged me. You don't judge a book by a cover. People judged me, big, baldy, angry, aggressive looking guy, hard man, just wants to fight with everybody. What's he like off the pitch? Oh, he'll just be a prick. He'll just be a prick off the pitch. When I think I'm the polar opposite. I actually think I'm quite articulate. I talk well. I communicate well. I speak openly and honestly. I'm direct, but people don't see that. And I think that with the players these times, and I've seen a lot of the things that obviously the PFA and things like that are doing. And like, I've seen a big career that I've seen just now is a lot of them are getting into like barber, being a barber in there. I've seen that.
Look at Jamie Doyle. We talked about that. Do you know, there's two things you spoke about there that really jump out to me. The first one is using our spare time is so important.
Yeah.
But what I say to boys is, and this is where it's like coaching and scouting jobs are great, but a lot of them don't pay the top level either. But they think it's that or nothing. I'm like, why would you not just find a job that's Monday to Friday and go do your scouting job as well? You don't need to stop football just because you've not got it there. So there's like, I think there's transferable skills that they just need to be a wee bit more curious. Look at what's out there. Look at what your skills can do. Ask more questions, and it might lead to something. Look at you. Every chance you've took led to something different. It's ended up giving you a brilliant career.
We went in the Fall Cup the other week there, and
I seen it was brilliant.
Half a dozen of the boys, and I mean first team players in there, started talking to us about the course, and they're now starting to go right, talking about the sales course, talking about that. But it's good that these boys, and by the way, they're sort of mid-20s, but they're starting to think about a career after football. And I think that is more of a modern day thing. But I think
so.
we were
it was
football would last.
I remember when I was growing up, like somebody that played for Celtic or Rangers, you automatically just thought, made for life. Sorted, man. He's got the life that he wants. And after I finish, and I've been in the sort of career that I've had, you speak to people and you go, what was it like at Celtic? I hated it, mate. Hated it. Hated being at Celtic. Hated being at Rangers. And I'm like, really? I thought that would have been brilliant because your class is one of the best if you're there. Like, but nah, didn't like it. Aye, and you think that that's the perception that everyone wants. So going to that level, it's going to be great. And then you don't realise until they're out that they're like, I was never comfortable. I was never myself.
It's that, and then you get the opposite fate sometimes where they were comfortable, but then fit was done and they're like, what am I doing? I've only ever been a football player. That's where I think one of the things you said there about, to me, it's preparing. So whatever we do, even when we put people through our course, in my head, I've always said this to Chris for day one, it's like, I don't think giving people a course is enough.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to go get a job. They don't know how to go do an interview or whatever. So in our course, what I've tried to build is, there's the skills, but then it's the aftercare for me is really important. I've got guys like Chris and Mickey Patterson and boys we were talking about earlier that have top level at their job. I want the players to be able to go to them and say, I'm struggling with this today, could you help me? There's a bit of advice. That advice is invaluable sometimes.
Do you think people talk enough? But do you think like I think the young generation now, it's all phones, it's all laptops, it's all text messages, it's all like, it's not sitting down. This is my environment. This is what I love. Like being off my phone, getting to talk. I don't think a lot of them, like when you would speak to people and they're probably shy, they're a wee bit nervous. They're looking at you going, oh, he's a big mighty sporting director. Like, see when I was at Hearts, I'd sit with everybody. I'd sit with the first team staff at one point. I'd go and sit with the women's staff. I'd sit with the academy. I'd sit with them all, and just and look, you could see the reservations when I sit down. They would like,
as a boss,
what do we do? And then I'd cut the say what you up to last night. So I'd just drop it.
Elbow in the face.
But I would drop it in quickly and change my mannerism so they could just relax and go, I was just playing FIFA, or I was out with my girlfriend, or whatever it was I was doing. And you're like, right, okay, look, how's things, how what's been happening, how you injury wise and things like that, just to kind of break the ice with them. And I don't think enough. I don't think, look, and I think a lot of clubs do it now, but we at Hearts, we had the round table policy. Yeah. So all the players had to sit around the round table. So you all had to sit, you know, previously there maybe 2 seats here, a wee square or a wee rectangle table, and not a lot of people could sit in it. Yeah. We were, no, round table, everyone, so there's 8, 10 at a table that you all have to talk to each other and things like that. Again, sometimes it's difficult because you have some of the foreign boys come in and they'll kind of congregate and sit themselves, but ideally when you've got people like Lon Shanklin and that, like Shanks was brilliant with it, and Stephen Kingsley, Craig Halkett, it's why they're top of the league, because they've got proper pros that know exactly what it is that's required. Leaders.
I mean, Rangers have got missing now. They've got good players, but
did you see and I remember, this is just me being an angry man, but I'm watching Rangers and Hearts last night. The Rangers players cuddling and talking to the players after the game. They just beat 2-1. See, if I was in that Rangers team, I'd been have my head. What are you doing, cuddling him? We've just been put it away.
I didn't see that.
Oh, they're cuddling each other and like high five and that. I'm going, fucking, what is going on here? Character. Wasn't the plot.
You've obviously worked in England and you've worked up here, so you've seen that transition after football in both countries. Compare the two of them, and what do you think it's just purely down to finance down there?
I think so.
A bit more?
I think it's a big thing. I think it's a big part down there. The salaries and the contracts they're just better, aren't they? They've just got a better product. They make more profit, so they're generally going to pay the players a better salary. So that, I wouldn't say that they're smarter with their money or not. I think that it comes down to like we're up here, you might be on $1,000 a week. Down there, you're on $5,000 a week. So I mean, it's a big difference to earn $50,000 a year to $52,000 a year, 50 whatever it is. So I think that it's
there's more money.
More money's a.
When you were in your job as a sporting director, do you have much conversations with the PFA about all that sort of stuff? Do they come to the clubs and have?
I think they've become much more prominent, probably since I've been away. But we had initial conversation where they'd come in and they would do things like if some of the players were leaving and that. It was always, I remember like Frankie McAvoy taught me this when we were at Hamilton Accies. Was Frankie's point was he wasn't there to make professional footballers like make loads of money. He was there to make sure they had a career. They always had a career in football, so if they never made it at Hamilton Accies, they might go to a Clyde, they might go to a Montrose, they always maintained that career, because we've all seen the ones that you were talking about. You go, he was excellent, and then it was like, where did he end up? Oh, I've not seen him for 5 or 6 years, don't know where he ended up. Frankie always maintained to me, always said to me, it's about making sure they have a career in football, making sure that they've got that career, that they've got something to fall back on. And I was like, yeah, that's a great point. And at Hearts, Hearts are obviously a bigger club than Hamilton Accies, so you've got, if you play for the Hearts, you've got more of a chance of ending up at a St Mirren, ending up at a Dunfermline, whereas if you play for the Hamilton Accies, you maybe end up at a Montrose, or you maybe end up at
then you need to get a job
at an East Fife or something like that.
And I try to say this to young boys, we do the pitches too, and it's like, I'm not there to bust a bubble. I'm like, listen guys, I want you to be fitter players, it's the best job in the world. But the stats are against you. 0.05% make it as millionaires. The rest of these are going to have to work at some point, so start thinking about it now. Don't think about it later. And it's coming, hopefully it's come from a good place, because I've seen far too many horror stories earlier years. And that's where I now want to try and make a difference with, especially the younger boys. You see them kind of like, I know the ones that are interested, and I'm sitting talking to them. I was saying to Chris, there was a boy down south on his phone. I was like to him, am I boring you wee dick? And he's like, just like, I'm like, a bit of bird you're texting, not joking. You could tell after it was a bit of like, I think they're used to people standing in front of them are quite square. And
and just
I'm like,
trying to educate them without giving them anything.
These jobs are like, I'm like, if you go to some of these sales jobs, you'll be making more money you could ever make playing football. That's the reality. But see, if you still want to play part-time, you can still play. It's not a big deal.
Well, look at the career some people can have being part-time footballers, getting the £300-400 a week. What's the boy's name? McAllister. What about his career?
I know.
One of the best goal scorers in the SPFL, but
good job in oil and gas.
Is he a plumber or something like that?
Some of these boys can't afford to go full time.
Yeah,
making a fortune.
Yeah, with their salaries that are making totally.
Listen, John, I've took up loads of it, but listen, I really enjoyed it. I think thanks very much for coming in. I think just one thing I'd like for you more than else, what you doing now? I mean, that's probably.
So I've had I'd say I'm looking to get back into the club side now. I've had a good enough break. I've kind of been working as like a football consultant, just helping clubs out and helping agencies and things like that out. But I needed the break after Hearts. I took the break, and I'm now actively sort of seeking. Trying to get back in. Ideally, I'd want to go down south if we're being honest with each other. I'd want to go back down to England, because not so much unfinished business, but I just like the league down there. And I completed my mission up here with Hearts. As much as I never won the league, and I would have loved to have won the league or even won a Scottish Cup or a League Cup. The job that I was asked to do, I've done.
It's a learning skill. It's got to increase your hardware in some ways, isn't it?
Oh, aye.
The other thing is as well, is before you go, I know you were saying about scouting, they'll get money. We want money if you get something off us. We get a job off the back of that. Get in the con.
Straight into the camera.
Right into it.
I'm not shooting your hat. I'm not getting caught on camera. Every chance.
Joe, thanks for your time, mate. Thanks to Golpa for having us again tonight. please subscribe to us on YouTube, keep following us. It's obviously at the time of year where players are looking for options possibly for what to do with work. Please reach out to us, DM us. Every conversation, I'll have a conversation with anybody that will help you out and point you in the right direction. If it's not what we're doing, I'll point you in the right direction of somebody that can help you. So again, thanks for coming in, Joe.
Brilliant, guys.